Thank you. Good evening, we're here. This is the August 20th, 2025 meeting of the Wareham Conservation Commission. The Wareham Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6, and any other applicable laws. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Division 6. Although a single decision of the Commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All matters listed may involve a decision and possible vote. Roll call, please. Jessica.
Jessica Parr.
Scott Sobey.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
Sandy Slavin.
And Michael Mercier.
I declare we have a quorum. Before we start, something was brought to my attention, and I wanted to bring it to everybody else's attention. If you drive down Onset Boulevard just before Point Independence, you will see two very large trees dead at the top of the banking. If you look over the banking, you will see 5 more dead trees on the actual bluff, on the slope. It was brought to my attention that someone has poured salt on all these trees to kill them. The person who did it was bragging immensely that he got rid of those trees, and they're now dead. And if anybody's looking, it's opposite the 106 Onset Ave, which is also that property is also butted Union Ave, in which not too long ago, all the trees at the end of Hotel Street were cut down on the bluff. So, yes, we are aware there are dead trees.
Murdered trees.
And murdered trees. And the 2 trees on top of the bluff were at least 3 stories high.
Wow.
So they are huge. I mean, it's one of those, tree just doesn't die unless somebody does something to it. And I was told they were salted. And
We know who did it.
no, we don't know who did it.
Well, we know who was bragging they did it.
I don't know the person who was bragging. I know it was word of mouth at least 3 times removed. So I have no proof except for very specifically located trees are now dead. And it impacts the views from some of the homes on Onset Ave. I know that the 2 trees at the top of the bluff have to be removed because they're unsafe, but I'm going to ask municipal maintenance to keep the trees on the slope itself in place so the roots can continue to act as they should to secure the bluff from eroding away. The trees at the top are definitely a hazard and must be removed. But if anybody listened to the Selectmen's meeting last night, there was a person who spoke to how we as conservation don't care about keeping the bluff clean of invasives and things like that. But I'm just very unhappy that we have another case where somebody chose to get rid of the trees because they wanted, there's no question it was done for vista improvement. And extremely unhappy with what's happening on the bluffs of Onset.
Have you turned over what information you have to the police department?
I am not. The other time, they were told for the tree clearing on Hotel Street, and they were told about the clearing of the bluffs along, South Boulevard, where all the brush, not trees, but low brush was cleared. But I've not said anything to anybody regarding the incident on Onset Ave. I will speak to Mr. Menard in municipal maintenance. But until I can't prove anything because no one's...
Yeah, but you don't need to. You need to turn the information you have over to the police department. If it's third-hand knowledge, they can trace it back and find the source.
Sure, they'll find out.
You want a
Okay.
motion to that effect?
No, I don't need that. I just, I wanted the public to know that it has to stop. We can't continue to lose our vegetation on, never mind. All right. We have on the agenda amphibious tractor presentation. There was some confusion as to whether or not they will be doing a presentation tonight. This was brought up as a possibility to help clean the invasive vegetation in Mill Pond. And the people from camp who's doing the cleanup of the pond not notified in time to attend this meeting, so we have spoken to the people from Amphibious Tractor and asked them to come at a future meeting so that everybody's present from conservation in the camp organization. So please, Christine, can you add that to our agenda next time?
Yes.
Thank you. Now we have 22 Pinehurst Drive. Why is that on the agenda?
They wanted to speak to you informally before submitting anything to get your opinion on a proposed project.
Are they here now?
They may be online, I believe.
No, anybody?
Nope.
Well-
What name would I be looking for?
I don't know. All I know is 22 Pinehurst Drive. If they're online, raise your hand.
Yeah, nobody's raising their hand.
Okay, well,
All right, well,
then please, Michael, start with our first hearing, please.
All right. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held in Room 520, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, at 6 p.m. On the request for determination of applicability for David S. and Lisa A. Rycroft, 2999 Creel Court, Woodbridge, Virginia, 22192. Map 39, Lot T20B, 17 Oak Street in Wareham, Mass. And motion to open the hearing, please.
I've had that motion.
So moved.
Paula
Second.
Jean moved it. Scott seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. We have our open hearing. Who's here representing this project?
Madam Chairman, Bob Rogers with GAF Engineering on behalf of the applicant.
All right, talk to us, please.
We got a lot of information on these plans. It's an existing home that is primarily being remodeled. The plan that you have shows existing conditions and demolition in the top view, and then the limited amount of work on the proposed conditions plan below. The house is primarily being remodeled, interior and exterior, but there is earthwork associated with a 6-foot addition in the front of the house, the removal and disposal of existing concrete walkway, which is going to be replaced with a new concrete walkway. There's an existing concrete walkway on the south side of the house, which is going to be replaced with a pervious walkway. These people are working with an architect, so on the plan that we said that the proposed replacement on the south side of the house, it would be either stone dust, which is pervious, or stepping stone walkway. So that's why we don't have a definitive answer, but it's absolutely going to be a pervious walkway replacing concrete. We're capturing as much of the front roof as we can and infiltrating it into Cultec units in the front yard. And we have the typical erosion controls. We have we have all of our general notes, erosion control notes on the left-hand side of the plan. All excess material would be removed from the site as part of the project. There's a crawl space currently in the front of the house, and under the addition is going to be just an extension of that crawl space. I marked the 2 front corners of the addition and a rough center of the chambers in the field last week, I think on Thursday. And so we are, after I answer any questions, we're asking for a negative determination. They've filed for the building permit. Nothing's been granted, of course, but once, if we get our negative determination, then we would be submitting that with the building permit application that's currently been filed.
Okay. Questions? No. Jessica?
None.
Scott?
So there's going to be a shed that's going to be removed, raised, it says on the plans. It's in the front of the house.
Yep, you're correct. Yep, existing shed to be raised.
And the concrete pad that it's on, will that also be removed?
We don't state that, but it certainly stands to reason. I would expect it would, yes.
Okay, and then also the homeowner told me today that the deck would also be replaced on the water side of the house.
Yep, so that's indicated on our plan, reconstructed wood deck and steps to match existing, so it would be a straight replacement to the same dimensions.
Right, but there's going to have to be some excavation there as well. Right now, the posts are sitting on 4-inch diameter concrete tubes, and it's wood right on the concrete, and I believe by code, you're going to have to go to a 10-inch, at least 10-inch.
That's up to planning, that's up to,
I know, but I'm asking a
Oh.
question for a specific reason.
okay.
So you're going to have to remove soil, a lot more soil than what is there presently. So I was just wondering about the adequacy of the erosion controls on the water side, not on the front side of the house.
Well, so, right, we don't have any erosion controls
No.
in the front. We have, so yeah, we're going along the side, along the property line. I don't know exactly what the grades are, but so all the work that you're talking about is bordered by that concrete retaining wall.
Well, it does come down, there's a slope underneath the stairs, and that, it does come down, and that could wash onto the beach.
Well, it sounds like handwork
Okay.
in that area.
But it's not a problem to add erosion controls there as well, right?
No?
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you. Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Didn't we have a project at this house not too long ago to put up a fence? Was that this property or our neighbor?
No, correct. It was this property. It was an after-the-fact filing for some tree removal and the installation of the vinyl fence, that brand-new vinyl fence. And so, because it was after-the-fact work, we filed a full notice of intent, and we did follow it up with an as-built, and we received a certificate of compliance for that work.
Okay. The 6-foot extension in the front of the house, you said the crawl space will be expanded to include that?
So as far as the foundation for the addition, it will be, a frost wall and a crawl space. It won't be that whole front half of the house, the basement is a crawl space. There's a full basement in the back half, but in the front. So only...
There'll be something being dug out in order to make a crawl space underneath this 6-foot extension.
Right, I only mention it because, the excavation for a crawl space is much less than for a full foundation. But, certainly there'll be 4 feet of material in that area, plus the footing in the wall.
Now, a couple structures down from this, they asked for the same thing. I want to extend the house a few feet closer to the road. They ended up taking the whole house down because they found problems, and I'm saying, if you find that you cannot adhere to this plan, let us know, as opposed to all of a sudden, hey, someone removed a house on us. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I don't, but all I can say this is, since that incident with the fence and the trees, the Rycrofts have been working extensively with Kelly Ennis architect. They've been working with an architect.
Okay.
And so they've gone from very ambitious renovations to this for several reasons, financial, flood zone, and so
I just
I'm
wanted,
confident that they won't go crazy once.
please make sure they go to the plan and don't surprise me one day I drive down the street and the house is gone because, it was too rotted and we needed to, okay.
They're working closely with an architect, and I'm sure and a builder.
Okay.
And they've applied for the building permit, so those people are listed.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Christine, any comments? Then I'll go to the public.
No, I was looking for the concrete pad, the location of that for the generator, since that was written in...
The generator pad, it's right behind the garage.
Right behind the garage.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So,
Yep, yep. So there's a lot on this plan.
Yeah.
So what was your question about that, Ann?
Oh, I was just trying to see where it was and
Oh,
how
okay.
far in the flood.
Yeah,
zone it
so the
was.
removal of the shed and that pad then allows for the smaller pad in the generator.
All right, yeah. I don't have any other comments for that.
so the generator will be connected to the house with underground wiring? So they'll be digging a trench to connect the generator? It's not clear.
Yeah, I mean, there's overhead electric wires
Okay.
running right through that area, but
So-
I don't know specifically what I mean, if there is a short section of underground electric, it's right next to gas that's being relocated and a roof drain, and so
Okay.
there's other utilities right in that spot.
Thank you. Anybody online or in the audience would like to comment on this project? I'm seeing none.
Nobody online.
Thank you.
Move to close the hearing?
Scott, move to close the hearing.
Second.
Paula Jean seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. We are 500. Christine, your recommendation?
-3, -6 with the extended erosion controls on the water side.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you have it. Bob, please don't start anything until you get all the paperwork from Christine, okay?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Get better, Kwame.
What's that next one?
Next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Virginia Green Turner, 42 Blue Hill Terrace Street in Milton, Massachusetts. Clean up dead trees and brushes, clean up falling trees, cut out walking path above the salt plains, clean out areas above the base of trees, plant fruit trees and wild melon and squash. Map 134, lot 1096, 8 Johnson Street in Wareham, Massachusetts. And motion to open the hearing?
I have that motion.
Second?
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? The hearing is open. Is there anybody here for this project, online or in the audience? No, or anybody?
Online.
I was gonna say somebody might be raising their hand.
Please let them in.
Hello?
Hi, please identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Darnell Turner from 42 Blue Hill Terrace here in Milton. I have a house down at 8 Johnson Street there in Wareham, Mass. And we're looking to, I was informed that I need to get permitted in order to clean up some areas in and around our property there.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to add other than you want to clean up some underbrush?
Well, that's like my question is that that's my understanding. I am going to clean up underbrush and talking with Christine and create a walking path above the salt plains there, going through to the other side of the property. I know someone had stopped by the property the other day and walked around the peninsula there, and they were walking down on that salt plain there, and this pathway will be up above that. And it's just basically, we've had the property almost 50 years now, and the last 20 years we haven't really done any maintenance or cleanup in the wooded area of the property. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what the property looks like. And this is basically going in there and doing some cleanup in there, getting some of the underbrush out of there, cleaning up some dead trees that have already fallen and everything. So it just makes it much more pleasurable to walk through to different sides of the parts of the property, and also add in some, I would say, trees in there that we can eat something off of. So that's when you like the fruit trees, putting some squash down, some melon plants and stuff in there, and just let those grow wild. and up in that area. So that's what my plan is. Like I said, I was informed by some contractor that was going to come in to help us clean that area out and clean up under there, saying that we did need to get a permit because we are down on the water there and stuff. So this is that process, me trying to figure out how to get through that process of getting that stuff done.
The plan you gave us had a whole bunch of yellow lines on it. And when I was at that property, I would say most of those trails already exist in pretty poorly maintained condition.
And that's exactly it. And what we're trying to do is clean those up, because if you look at it, there's overgrowth there's junk on it. What I want to do is basically clean those pathways back up, and also clean up some of the dead trees and underbrush. Yeah, I'm sure if you saw it, you saw a whole bunch of like trees that have fallen in the woods and things of that nature. And it's just basically going in and cleaning that stuff up. There's no, and that's why I was saying, well, we're not looking to tear anything down. We're not looking to put any new construction or anything in there. I was just looking to clean it up, and these people, the contractors told us we're gonna have to basically get a permit, because they said we're working there in the floodplains and area and stuff, and they just want to make sure that they didn't get stopped or fined or anything. So I
Okay.
just want to protect
Thank you.
the folks I have working for me, or will be working for me.
Donald, I'm going to ask the commission if they have any questions. Jessica?
No specific questions at this time.
Scott?
Are you planning to do any of these plantings or cleaning up the brush outside of the pathways within 30 feet of the salt marsh?
The plantings, no. All that's going to be up at the top, in and around, above where the house is. I don't know if you have a picture of it there.
Yeah, I was out there today too, so.
Yeah, so it's just all that. If you look at, and a lot of the lines there are basically lines I put on there because you don't get a ground view of it. So this is kind of like over the top. It's an over the top view. It's not, all those lines aren't going to be eventually where we're going to path. These are more creating the paths that are there and just cleaning up dead stuff and trying to put some stuff back in place there.
So according to the town bylaws, you're allowed a 5-foot wide vegetated path for access to the wetlands. And outside of that path, within 30 feet of the wetlands, you're not allowed to do any of this kind of brush clearing. So my suggestion, and we could make this formal if it's amenable to the chair, would be to roughly mark with stakes or whatever 30 feet from the edge of the wetlands, and then just don't do any of the brush clearing closer than that, except in your 5-foot wide vegetated pathways. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, but if those paths already exist?
Well, they can be 5 feet wide.
No, well, the paths aren't going to be that. I'm not looking at a 5-foot wide path. I'm just looking basically under the walkway. Like, you don't need 5 feet for that. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be like, so the pathways there, if you look at the pathways that are up there, I think the biggest one might be maybe 3.5 feet tops.
Yeah,
And
so you're
the
clear,
biggest-
so there's no problem with that then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that we're not looking to make any vehicle pathways. These are strictly walkways to get to the other side of the property and walk through. And when the water tide and everything does come in, those floodplains do get flooded and stuff when the tide's in. So you can't like basically walk around the front end of the property or the water end of the property. This will be able to walk around to the other side. Yeah. Even when the tide's in. That's what this is partially about, and cleaning that out and getting stuff up and ready around it.
Right, I'm just reminding you that outside of those walkways, within 30 feet of the wetlands, you're not allowed to do the brush clearing that maybe you had planned.
Okay.
Paula Jean?
Well, I was out there Monday, and I understand what you're trying to do, and I think I understand that you don't want to remove anything that's living. You're just going to go for brush on the pathways and spots where you want to grow things.
Right.
In which case, there'll still be a lot of brush left, because that makes for really important wildlife habitat, piles of brush and dead things on the ground is home to those guys. So if I'm clear, if I'm correct in my understanding, then thank you.
Michael, question.
No questions, thank you.
Donald, what are you going to do with all the debris that you bring in out of the woods?
Well, most of it's, what we're gonna do is we're gonna mulch it, and make it as the bed for the walkways. It's just big, it's gonna be there. It's gonna stay there, most of that, as bed, like bedding for the walkways.
So you'll chip everything.
Chipping everything down, yeah, that's what we plan on doing.
Now, are you planning to create any new pathways or just clean up what you got?
Well, the only pathways would just anything that allows us to get to the other portion of the property, and it's hard to explain on this. When we look at the map, if we're not looking at an overhead view, do y'all happen to have a copy of the map here?
I do.
Okay, so if you start basically at the house, where the house is, and if you see that pathway that goes along the waterfront, not along, but it's about 150 feet above the waterway there. That's where that pathway actually is, about 150 feet above that. It goes around along that waterway there.
Yes.
Majority of that is already cut in. There's only that little piece, the bend piece, that is not, would be cleaning out. That'd be the cleaning up of it to go and connect to the other pathway that's already there. So it's not very much space there.
Okay.
And a lot of the interior stuff is just cleanup stuff, where we're cleaning that out. And I didn't know how to show it or demonstrate it, like from an overhead view.
Yeah.
So I just put the lines there.
Scott's concern is that you're not allowed any activity within 30 feet of the wetland other than a 5-foot path.
Yeah, and none of these will be 5-foot paths.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
maximum of 5 feet, so they can be a 3-foot path, but you're allowed a
Right.
5, and you can have a 3. So you will be creating some new paths, but most of them will be cleanup?
It'd be cleanup, because they'll be just, basically it'll be a natural, once you clean up some of the brush and the dead trees and everything, it'll just extend out so you can walk around through there.
Okay.
I'm not trying to create, and that's what I'm saying, I'm not trying to create it where, oh, everything is a walk, pathway cut into anything. It's just basically clean out, allows you to get to the other side. And that was there originally. It's just after 20 years of not doing anything to it, you have
a lot of growth that has to be, cleaned up.
fall over and stuff.
Scott, does that help you?
Yes, I'm okay, as long as he's 30 feet from the
Yep.
the mark.
Yeah.
Christine, any comments?
So my one comment is that this project does not have a DEP file number as
Was
of
it
yet.
filed for?
Yes.
Okay.
We sent the paperwork, we talked about that yesterday with
Yes.
Christine, and we sent that
Yep.
paperwork out.
So,
I got it out.
Donald, we're going to have to continue this hearing until the next meeting, which is September
Third.
9/3.
Okay.
Waiting for that formal DEP filing for you.
Yep.
But is there anybody online or in the audience that has a comment on this project? Hearing none and seeing none? I need a motion to continue until
Motion to continue
9/3.
till 9,
Second.
Michael,
second.
Paula Jean, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. We are continued, waiting for a DEP filing. Okay, Donald, thank you.
Thank you. And y'all have a great evening.
Yep, you too. Next one, please.
All right.
Yes.
Just wondering if the safe harbor meeting's been postponed?
Yes, till
Yes.
September 17th.
Sorry, I should have, they're going to request that until
Yeah, it was written on the agenda.
Safe Harbor until 9/17. So if you're here for that, we will have no discussion on it.
I'm a butter, do I supposed to be notified?
Nope, only if you would, at this point, once the original notification go out, any continuations is done during a meeting. So you'd have to listen to a meeting to say it's continued and whatever, but right now, it will be continued until September 17th.
Thank you.
Okay, and I apologize, I should have let it know ahead of time.
It's okay. Have a great night.
Okay, you don't want to stay and listen to us? Oh. All right, so I guess out of purpose, I'm going to say that 15 Cleveland Lane wants to be continued. We're going to have Safe Harbor, 29 Camp Street wants to be continued, 7 Burgess Point. The town of Wareham wants to be continued if anybody's here for those. So, all right, next, please.
Was it Fisherman's Cove also?
28 Fisherman's Cove is also continued.
Yeah.
But that's not,
They sent that,
I know, but we're not,
We're not there yet. It's
Yeah.
not the next one, it's the one after this one.
okay.
All right. You all set for the next one?
Yes,
All right.
next one, please.
On the request for notice of intent for Riverhawk LLC, 511 West Grove Street, Middleborough, Massachusetts, 02532. Stormwater BMP upgrades, restoration of areas impacted by siltation in response to enforcement order from Wareham Conservation Commission. Map 2, 1004A, Lot 2, again, 1004A. 19 Bay Point Drive in Wareham, Massachusetts. I motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, the hearing is open. And who's here representing this project?
Is anybody online? By chance?
Anybody online?
Does not appear so.
Anything, Christine, have you heard from them as to whether or not they would be here?
I don't believe so, but let me double check. No, I'm not seeing anything from them.
Move to continue until,
We may have to.
Josh, nobody online? So, no one, know anybody online?
Nobody online.
move to continue to 9/3.
Seconded.
I have that motion and a seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're continued until 9/3.
All right.
The next one, please.
Make sure I get Edgewater's right here. All right. On the request for notice of intent for Michael Pudria, 49 Edgewater Way in Wareham, Massachusetts.
Nope, Fisherman's Cove.
I thought that one,
We haven't voted on it.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
thought I was given that one, I'm sorry. Okay, on the request for notice of intent for E.H. Perkins Realty Trust and P.O. Box 752 Hudson, Mass. The applicant proposes to reconstruct a residential pier and modify the existing floating dock system. Map 3, Lot LC1, 28 Fisherman's Cove in Wareham, Mass. Motion open the hearing.
I have that motion and I motion
Second.
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. They're requesting a continuance until
Until
Fishman Cove 9/3?
9/3, I believe.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion,
Move
please?
to continue till 9/3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We're continued until 9/3. Now you can go Edgewater Way.
On the request for notice of intent for Michael Pugier, 49 Edgewater Way in Wareham, Mass. 02571, to permit previously unpermitted activities and structures. Map 35, Lot 26, 49 Edgewater Way in Wareham, Mass. Motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained.
So
The
just
hearing
to,
is opening.
just to preface this, it is also needing a DEP file number.
Okay. All right, who's here representing this project, please?
Good evening, Brian Grady, GAF Engineering.
Attorney Matthew Dupuy, assisting.
Can you spell your last name for the record?
Yes, Dupuy.
All right. Talk to us, please.
Good evening. We are here to address some unpermitted activities that occurred at this property. Mike Bouvier is here. He's the current owner of the property. This was his mother's home, purchased in 2016. Unfortunately, she passed a few years ago. So Mike has had the property for sale, and with the order of conditions, it has come up. There was never a certificate of compliance issued, and in the process of looking to obtain that, we find some unpermitted activities that occurred after the 2016 change in ownership.
Just a few.
There are a few.
I ran out of ink.
There are a few, but they're not egregious, in my opinion, but we can address those. So there was a 2004 notice of intent filed, and that was to the existing home. There was a deck. It was to enclose the deck behind the home and modify the existing deck. But what happened is, at that time, the deck went beyond the addition. That wasn't permitted, but at that time, your 30-foot no disturb bylaw wasn't in effect, so it's work that would have been permitted at that time. The remainder of the work happened subsequent to 2016. And for those of you who've been to the site, you've probably seen, and on the plan, it's identified by those heavy boxes around the text. And I could just list them quickly. There's an existing timber wall that was constructed at the bottom of the slope. Mike did that because there was some erosion occurring, so he did that to solve that issue. We were on site, met Christine there, and that erosion's also occurring to the west side of the dock. So gave Christine a good example, and maybe those of you who were there could see what the erosion, how it was occurring back then, and why that timber wall construction was chosen. There's also the wood launch, the boat launch adjacent to the pier. We will be removing that. To keep that, it would need a Chapter 91 license. We're not going to go through that. We will remove that. There's only a couple of 4x4 posts supporting that. Be very easy to remove that, undo a couple of bolts, a few nails, pull those posts out of the ground. They can just be wiggled out of the ground. There's no cement holding those in. Will have less impact than someone doing some clamming. And the other items, on the westerly side, there's a wood rail post and rail fence that was placed at the top of the coastal bank. There's a fire pit that was constructed. There's a cement block wall, a sand seating area, and then there's a natural stone wall that was built. And there's some miscellaneous plantings and some landscape mulch around those items. So we're here to permit or get your direction as to how to handle these unpermitted items.
I will start with questions. Jessica?
You can come back to me. Yes. I'll remind you.
Thank you. Scott?
What of any of those items was permitted? Were any of those items permitted at all?
No.
Do you know the date that the concrete steps were put in place? The concrete looks fairly fresh to me.
They were there in 2004. They were resurfaced, but they were there in 2004.
Okay. Thank you.
And prior to that, but that's when we did that work, was in 2004. And they existed at that time and prior to, but Mike resurfaced those and made them a little safer.
Paula Jean?
I don't have any questions right now, but I might request you come back to me as we exhaust some of this. I have been there and seen it all, so.
Michael?
Just a question, the plan for the pier, is that going to remain the same, like width and length of this? Is there a plan to actually extend that, make it larger?
No, that's been there, that's pre-existed, that was there in '04 and well before that, so there's nothing happening to the pier. It's the launch next to it,
All right,
that little ramp launch, that's going to be removed.
okay, so just the boat launch is going to go, that's it?
Yeah, nothing else. Correct.
And the pier's going to stay, okay.
Now, this work that are in the highlighted rectangular boxes were all done between '04 and 2016, or anything more
After.
current? After 16?
After Mike's mother purchased the property in '16, they
Okay, so the work was done after. Is he, this person just hired somebody to do the work,
I think Mike did it all himself, unknowingly.
unknowing that there were wetland bylaws in the town of Wareham? In Crooked River Road, Crooked River Road. Has there been any issue with the wood wall that's holding up the banking with the changes in the tidal flow of Crooked River? Has there been any erosion under the wood and timber wall that's by the base of the,
I haven't looked closely at the wall, I'm not sure.
I don't know whether or not the tide comes up far enough. It looks like the tide at high tide may come up and touch that timber wall.
High tide would probably hit it, but mean high water wouldn't, so it's not a structure that would need to be licensed, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think high tide.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just odd that on the north, south, east, on the west side of the dock, all the vegetation's been removed. It seems odd that there was a section of absolutely no grass anyplace along that riverfront up to a section that, a distance from the seawall, from the pier. It was just odd that it had looked like it had been strategically removed.
On the west side,
Yes.
there's still some grasses there.
Some distance away, but if I take a look at it within 10 to 12 feet of the dock, all of it's been removed, or no longer exist. It just seemed odd that the grass stopped at one place and didn't continue to percolate closer to the,
Well, in
pier.
'04, our '04 plan does show marsh grass where this timber wall is now.
and there's no marsh grass there now, so that lets me to believe that
Well, it eroded away,
it just seemed.
which is why Mike.
No,
felt
I
the-
think my question is, if I'm standing on the pier and I look to my left, there is a cleared area quite clearly, right here, cleared up to the vegetation. And it seemed like there was a strong line in which there was no more vegetation toward the pier.
I don't know if that's been cleared, it might be just part of the erosion that's occurring in that kind of U-shaped.
Yeah, it's just odd that some grass was there and it didn't get eroded. Now the question has to be asked as to whether or not we would have permitted any of this work if we had been asked to do it. All done after 16. So whether or not we would have allowed for the timber wall, whether or not we would have allowed for the wall that was several walls up on the property that seems to be looking for an erosion control or preventing the deterioration of the grass area down the banking. I don't know. It's... All right. So you're now in front of us with a notice of intent to allow all this stuff to occur after the, to
Permitted
approve,
after the fact, or
which
your
allows you-
direction otherwise.
which allows you to get an order of condition, which allows you to proceed with a home sale.
We would get an order of conditions, follow with a certificate of
And of
compliance
compliance.
at some point,
Yep.
and continue with the sale, correct?
Because right now, there's nothing on the deed because this was never permitted, therefore,
Right.
there's nothing to prevent the sale from continuing.
There's no certificate of
compliance.
compliance on the original order, so we need to
Okay,
address
the
that.
original order being the deck from '04.
The '04, correct.
That was even before me. Okay, Christine, comments, please.
Do you happen to know the size of the posts for that boat launch?
4x4?
4x4s.
There's two.
All right, yeah, I spoke to you earlier about that, about the land underwater. So I just need those calculations.
Yep, we
On
can provide
revised.
that. Yeah, 4x4, two of them, yeah. Yeah, very easy to remove. We have a certificate of compliance coming later, that was much more involved. Many more posts, and they did a great job over there. So this is very easy to take that out, yep.
So is the idea that we amend an order? It doesn't seem like you could.
It's too old to amend the 2004 order of condition. So what you have here is
But how
that
would they close it out? You can't close it out, right?
Yeah, there's an old order, this would kind of trump the old one,
So it would
so
be
the older one could be addressed in some fashion, refer to a current certificate of compliance, it could be worked out in some fashion.
So the existing deck was expanded beyond what was approved in '04, and all these other items were added. Now I'm going back. Jessica, you want to go back? I came back to you. Your questions.
Well, my question is procedural. How do you approve it after the fact if it's not in compliance?
Okay? I can't answer that.
You can certainly approve anything after the fact, if you choose to.
But it's not what the original order said, right? It exceeds the order?
Well, the original order is expired, so we're here with a new notice of intent asking for a new order of conditions relative to these current activities. So you can choose to approve them, ask for them to be removed, something in between.
I'd like to make a motion.
Wait. Paula Jean wanted to come back.
Okay. I was just going to go through items, the one by one, what we would, process of elimination, what we would allow if we were looking at this new today,
Okay,
and what we wouldn't, like the
So-
fire pit. So I'm thinking, I was there, but how far from how much of it is in the 30-foot zone?
All of
To start with, all of it. So we would have said no to the fire pit, for sure. We would have said no to the sand seating area. The old stone wall, taking that out is gonna cause more erosion than allowing that after the fact. So we
Yes.
might look at that differently than the first two items. The wood rail fence, that's not doing anything for erosion. So does the bad outweigh the good, is what I'm thinking. The cement concrete wall, I'm ready to hear Scott's motion.
Well, I think we have to close the hearing.
I'm not,
Okay,
no,
oh,
I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
So, we have the timber wall down by the water, which is holding back a sloped land, right? So that would have been allowed, more than likely, to prevent that erosion. The next thing we have is the existing rail fence that seems to be there to prevent people from going over the banking.
Oh, I think it can.
That would be my only thought on that.
It's at the
only
top of
thing
the banking.
Right, if someone buys the home and they have children, it might keep them from walking down the bank. That's the only purpose it might serve.
Because it's at the top of the,
Yeah,
top of the,
it's not like the public is there,
no, but
so.
I think that, well, okay. Then we have the fire pit, I don't think would have been
No.
permitted.
Definitely not.
The concrete block wall, it seems to be holding up on a banking, because it's raised behind it. Then you have the existing sand seated area, and then a stone wall behind it, which again seems to be up against a raised piece of land.
Yeah,
Then we have a mulched landscaped area, which looks like it contains, if I looked at it, irises, daylilies, and maybe some hosta. It's up against the stone walkway. And then you have the extension of the patio into the 30-foot no activity zone, but that was beyond what was permitted in '04.
The patio, which one are you
It says
referring to?
existing deck, concrete patio
Oh, yeah, that was the '04 work, that was prior
Yep.
to your 30-foot
Yep.
no disturb.
But you said it went beyond that.
Well, it predated the 30-foot.
I know, so
it would
all
have
the
been-
work there, then why is that being defined in rectangular?
Well, it's unpermitted, but it predates your 30-foot.
okay.
So there's a fine distinction there. Yes,
Okay.
it's unpermitted, but it would have been permitted at the time.
So, Scott, what was your motion? Wait a minute. Anybody in the audience like to comment on this project? Anybody online? Christine, your comments before we listen to Scott's motion.
Most of my comments just involve getting a revised notice of intent with the additional resource areas on.
It wouldn't be a revised notice of intent, it'd be a brand-new one, because the old one is so old.
Well, this is the new one that they're
Okay, so, all
filing for,
Okay.
not the original notice of intent,
Okay.
this current one.
right, and we have no DEP yet. So, Scott, anything
Well,
else?
that's my point. We can't close the hearing because we don't have a file number yet and we don't have
that is
natural
correct.
heritage comment.
Continue.
Yes,
So we're just here to get some direction. Obviously, you'll need to continue this.
so I guess the
Give us
question
some-
is, should we, I know we're going to continue, but should we talk about what we feel each one of us should be removed? So Jessica, I'll start with you. What do you think should be removed?
I think the deck, like you said, if it's there before, even though it's unpermitted, if it was built before our no activity zone was established, but probably everything else would need to be removed. I mean, stone wall, something like that, I think it probably does more harm than good to remove it at this point. But landscape area, sand seating,
Okay, so we
wood rail
take,
fence, fire pit.
you want that wood rail fence gone? I don't, because it's up against a banking.
You're
To the-
polling the members, though, right, to see what each one
I'm
of
just
us...
asking if I'm going to ask one of you, take a look at what they put into their notice. Boat launch, timber wall adjacent to existing pier, the wood rail fence, the fire pit, the block wall, the stone wall, the sand seating area, the mulch landscaped area, the deck and landscape area behind the house. 2, 4, 6, 8. It's 9 items. Now, my question is, of those 9 items, what would you as a member require to be removed? Jessica?
Mulch and landscape area,
Mm-hmm.
sand seating area, fire pit, wood rail fence, timber wall, wood launch. I could be convinced on the cement, concrete block wall, and perhaps the stone wall.
Okay.
Their leave in place.
Scott?
I would recommend that we retroactively approve the deck, even though the 30-foot no activity zone that predates that, it still was subject to Massachusetts law, which is a 100-foot buffer zone. I'm sure you're aware of that. And if this is a river area, it'd be 200 feet. But, so I would say retroactively approve the deck as it is, but to remove all of the unpermitted activity items, everything that's unpermitted, and to revegetate the banking using all native plantings. And the reason, including the stone wall, and the reason I think that's practicable is because we've been working with other properties where they have used native vegetation to reestablish the bank and stop the erosion that had been going on there. So it is possible. It's going to take some work, but that would be my preference.
Paula Jean?
I was going to say exactly what Scott said. So,
Everything.
Yeah, to retroactively approve the deck, but that all the other things have to go.
Michael?
I'm going off on a slightly different angle here. I'm going to go towards boat launch and the timber wall along the water that's already being proposed.
Okay. I'm looking at where that timber wall is and the angle of that slope. That's going to take a tremendous amount of I don't know how they're going to do that and still not encroach any further onto the high water mark.
What do you mean?
If I take a look at that wooden wall down by the pier, it is up against at least 18 inches tall banking. If you remove that, I have nothing to secure the banking from eroding down into the river's edge where the high water mark comes up and reaches up to that existing wood wall. So what you're going to do is remove that, then everything's going to fall into the river area because it's going to take a while for that 18 inches of soil to be controlled.
Well, what about native plantings and straw wattles until they're more established and can do their job?
Yeah, it's an engineering problem. It's,
Not our-
it's, the engineers can figure out how to do all that stuff. They're very clever.
And we would come back with something similar to a wall such as this. The bank is stabilized up to the wall that's there. You remove the wall, Sandy's right, that erosion will continue, so you need to stabilize it in some fashion. And it's not going to be vegetation, it will be some sort of armoring, a wall, sheet vinyl, which we've proposed many times.
But there's also things like netting that can be planted through and so on.
Not in a vertical situation. This is a vertical situation, so, you know, you either push it out, which we're not going to do, the slope, push it out to take care of that verticalness. So something, either you pull it back, which only exacerbates the issue and removes the vegetation from the bank. So something vertical would need to be put in there to replace the wall that you're asking to come out. And if you look to the west side, there's some erosion occurring there, which you can kind of get a sense of what this erosion looked like at the time. It's not as bad on the other side because there are those grasses in front of it, but it has eroded on the west side as well.
But you're aware of these edge effects, that when you have armoring in one area, you encourage erosion in adjacent areas.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's, and without a hydrological study, that would be a possibility, that the erosion there is due to the armoring that you've done with the wooden wall.
Well, the erosion occurred, which is why Mike felt the necessity to protect the bank. It's in a relatively protected area. It's not open face to the sea. So it's relatively protected. The erosion isn't terrible. But since '04, here we are, storms are getting worse, sea levels rising, situations are occurring, that's where we're at. So that's my comment. If you ask for the wall to be removed, we'd be back with replacing it with some other type of wall.
All right, from my point of view, Michael, you said you removed the boat launch and the timber wall adjacent to the existing piers. Those are the two things you wanted removed?
Correct.
Okay.
Be mostly along the water.
And I would look for removing the fire pit, the sand seating area, and the mulch area. We have, why am I missing? Okay.
Rail fence.
No, I would want the rail fence there for safety. All right, so we have 4 of us to remove the mulch, 4 of us to remove the sand seating area, 2 to remove the stone wall, 2 to remove the block wall, 4 to remove the fire pit, 3 to remove the wood rail fence, 4 to remove the timber wall, and 4 to remove the boat. Well, I would remove the boat launch. So 5 of us to remove the boat launch. That's what it looks like. We're not doing, we won't do anything until we have a DEP, but this is a feeling for what I'm getting here. If there's something you might like to listen to what we're looking for removal and come back with another plan in 2 weeks, indicating our preferences.
Yeah, I can certainly come back with a revised plan indicating what's to be removed. I guess I'm still a little unclear on the timber wall. I know the launch is coming out, the fire pit, fence.
No, the fire pit, the sand seating area, and the mulch landscape area. So if I take a look at, from the, from the stone wall, from the
Natural
stone wall, the stone versus the brick wall and the fire pit down to the fence, that would be leveled out.
Yep.
That's what I'm getting from everybody.
Didn't we have three wanted to get rid of the rail fence?
No, I only had
you
three
said
three getting rid of the,
Three of us, yeah.
three, but not 4 or 5.
No, but three.
Yeah,
So it'll all come down to how the vote comes out to a specific motion.
yes.
It won't be like a majority on the sand pit or the sand. It'll be a single motion that will carry the
Will reflect.
majority.
And could very well be denied if one of us doesn't agree with one of the things on the list to be removed.
Exactly.
But to me, that fence,
And we can always then follow up with a subsequent motion that
Yep.
evolves over, that's the
Yep.
vote.
but to me, that fence isn't doing any harm sitting there, and to remove it, to me, exposes people to a fairly steep slope. But that's looking for a safety as opposed to a conservation component of it. I'm sorry, did I confuse you? I mean, it looks like we have to me, there is a majority of people want that timber wall next to the pier gone. And the seating area, the fire pit, and the mulched area. So from the stone wall versus through the brick wall, through the fire pit, clean it out and give us a nice solution to making that just a single lawn-typey area.
Yeah, we can move that. Make it a uniform slope, the sand spread it out, topsoil seed. Yep.
Yes, that type of thing.
And I guess I'm still not clear on what you need from us in order to clear your title with the old order, so that you can move forward.
Well, eventually, we'll approve something.
Yep.
We'll get an order of conditions. That work will be performed, removing these certain items.
And then you'll get a certificate of compliance. I just want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're still giving you what you need in order to clear the title of that original.
Right, so what could be done, what we've done in the past, let's say for the old order of conditions, you could just check no work performed, even though work was done. Just check off the no work performed, and that would satisfy that, because this order kind of trumps all that stuff. It's kind of what we've done in the past. It's not absolutely correct, but if you follow that.
Are there other alternatives that don't require us to perjure ourselves?
Thank you.
We can come up with something.
Madam Chairperson, could I make a
Oh,
comment?
I'm sorry, yes.
The only thing I would address is removing that wall is going to require some type of a new construction there, whether it's netting, whatever. Property is going to be sold. The new owner, in fact, I understood that there were some members, or it might have been Christine, who thought there should be a wall built on the west, to the left of the pier. And who knows, the new buyer may want to do that, and they may, whatever type of wall they're going to do, they would want to match it to the wooden wall there, unless the wooden wall is removed. So I would think, since we're talking about a new owner coming in, who may be before this board, and likely is going to be before this board the next 2 or 3 years, that wall should stay, and whatever that person decides to do and whatever you approve, it would be uniform. And, because there's quite a bit of erosion to the left. It's just on that ramp, to the left is the erosion. And it's significant, it's going to continue. And that existing wall to the right is the only thing keeping it, as Brian stated, safe.
Okay. There is a major project coming down Crooked River for restoration of that upland bog area. It may change the flow of the river. So there may very well be more of a tidal flow because of that change in that culvert upriver.
Yeah, I think that's a restrictive culvert, but once it's opened up, it would make it more uniform.
There would be,
Yeah.
to me, a tidal change in Crooked River, because this thing virtually empties out to nothing at low tide and then fills up again at high tide, which is why it comes up to the timber wall that exists. Okay,
I have one just final question.
yes.
Brian, sometimes we meet with applicants on the site, with the engineers and environmental people and all that kind of stuff, so we can see, we can relate what the plans are to the site in advance. Would it be okay for one or more of us to meet with you when you revise the plans to look that over?
Prior to revising the plan?
Prior to
Yeah, that
revising
would-
the plan?
Yeah, sure.
I'd be happy to do that, and I don't know if anyone else would like to, but I'd be happy to do that. That might just ease the whole process.
Sure, that would be helpful.
And then we can coordinate it with Christine.
And my client would like to be there as well.
Of course.
He welcomes that.
Okay, so at this particular point, I think we're going to have a continuance until at least 9/3.
Move to continue to 9/3?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, so we're continuing for a DEP and a new plan.
Or we can just continue beyond that.
Okay.
We can talk about that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Let's see, okay. Alexander Lyon, 15 Cleveland Way. Applicant is proposing to replace existing retaining walls, walkways, steps, patios, and lumen hydroseed, and to plant native plant species in coastal banks and land subject to coastal storm flowing. However, this has been continued till September the 3rd.
Where are we?
That's the next one, isn't it?
Number
Leave one
5.
way. Do we have to vote to
Are you,
continue?
no, you're not reading the notice that was in the paper.
Yeah, because let's see, because I don't have it in my notes, that's why I, let me see if I can pull it up, thank you. Right. On the request for notice of intent for Alexander Lyon, 250 Bent Street, Franklin, Mass. 02538. The project consists of replacing existing retaining walls, walkways, steps, patios in a previously disturbed areas in the 1950s and 1960s, loam and hydroseed, naturalized native plants, map 7B2, 725, and inside 15 Cleveland, Hawaii, Wareham, Mass. However, we're moving that to
Thank you.
motion to continue until...
No, motion to open.
Motion to open the hearing.
I have a motion.
Second?
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain. The hearing is open, and they have a request to continue to 9/3.
Okay, I move that we continue to September 3rd.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. We are continued until the 3rd of September. We are now into our continued hearings. Anything for 9 15th Street, anything at all?
No, so I'm starting to draft the enforcement order for this. What I would recommend at this time would be to deny the project, and then I can just start on the process.
And will your continuation allow it to be cleaned up and all material removed? And
Yeah,
what we're concerned about is what they've dug and what they've left have to be cleaned up, so.
yeah, they had indicated that they just did not want to go through with it anymore, and that's why I'm recommending you just deny it.
Okay.
And then I can draft the enforcement order. I can go through the process of having them remove it.
Okay. Anybody commenting on this? No one wants to deny the project?
You want a motion to deny it?
Yes, please.
So moved.
I have that motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstains. We denied, then Christine will work on making sure that the area gets cleaned up. Next, we have 28 Nelson Street. Anybody here representing that? I think Miss Morton said she was going to be late. She's in line? Okay. Oh, wait a minute, I jumped one. 23A Barn Street.
Yeah.
Kathleen Rose O'Neill. I jumped that one, I apologize. Anybody here for that project? That's that house that's dilapidated down at Swiss Beach.
Right.
All right. Nobody's here. Can I get a motion to continue?
Motion to continue till September the 3rd?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we're continued until 9/3. Nelson Street. Okay. We're up.
Hello, everyone hear me?
Hi.
Hi. So I am here. I do believe that there is not a quorum to vote for us tonight, and I did send over today to Christine revised renderings and the plan too. So I'm requesting a continuance till 9/3.
And I believe I do have a quorum.
Okay.
I went through all of the meetings that existed since we started. Your first hearing was December 4th. I reviewed every single meeting from there up until August 6th. We only had 4 meetings in which there were testimony. Of those 4 meetings, 4 of us attended, was there for all 4 of them. What we have is Scott was an associate for 1 meeting and a member for 3 of the 4. But I have 4 members, being myself, Paula Jean, Michael, and Kwame, attended all of the 4 meetings. So I believe I have a quorum. I have 3 of us here for it. I have a quorum present to hold this meeting. Am I misunderstanding something? I don't think I need it all.
Yeah, no, I was called by Christine, who said that there wasn't a quorum to vote on the project. So maybe I was misunderstanding, but
Yeah, I'd spoken to Josh, and I was under the impression that because the 4 members who were here for the meetings were, well, one of them was absent, that we wouldn't have a quorum for this particular project.
Well, to me, I didn't think 4 of us could vote on it. 3 of us could be here. There's 5 of us, so. And if we don't do something, then Kwame's not here for one of them. So then we're down only 3 that's attended everything, which complicates it even more. But I know new plans came out this afternoon. What were the changes on those plans?
One question.
sorry.
Sorry,
So there's
before that.
renderings, shows there's no overhanging deck. There is a little, the architect wrote a letter that talks about, he did the calculation for the shading, but I am still waiting on the stamp plan just from the engineer. But essentially, it's on the same footprint. But I know too that probably the peer reviewer wants to take a look at them and confirm. But it's staying exactly where it is.
Okay, is our peer reviewer online? Is Brandon online? Brandon.
Brandon, I don't believe so,
Okay.
and I don't see.
Because I had questions on his 3 peer reviews that were done and changes that were identified in the 3 of them as to why things got changed. Why, okay. And before we go any further, I want to make it clear that I did file a disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest for this. Julian Morton is my personal attorney, and I wanted to go on record, this has been filed in the clerk's office, and that I can, as I swore on this one, take into account the facts that have been disclosed above. I feel I can perform my official duties objectively and fairly, signed and submitted to the clerk. I just wanted it to be out in the open that Julian Morton is my attorney. So, other than that, I guess we're going to continue, and then we're going to ask Kwame if he can listen to this meeting online and sign an affidavit that he's done that, and he's heard all the discussions that occurred today. All right. So we need to Why are we continuing, waiting for some more information, waiting for, to review the new plans we received?
Yeah, and we still
And
need
the clarification of whether Scott, so we can vote on this. And you said I needed a full, what, vast majority of my,
That was what
members-
I was under the impression.
so maybe Josh and I can talk about it, because that's not my understanding. It's my understanding we vote on the people that are sitting at the table or online. So I guess that's my discussion with Josh as to why he thinks differently. And we need a ruling from an attorney as to whether or not Scott can vote on this particular project, because he was an associate for only one of the hearings. So, that being the case,
Move to continue to 9/3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We'll continue to 9/3. The safe harbor,
Could he listen to it on, could he listen to the recording now that he is a member? Like he missed the first one and,
I was here.
I know, but I
was
just mean,
here.
I
Wouldn't that-
I
wouldn't
submitted
would be
corrections to the minutes.
exact same thing that Kwame is doing in order to qualify to vote? Couldn't Scott do the exact same thing?
I would think so, and then he has the bonus of being an actual,
he was already here. But
I know, but you know what I
that's
mean.
part of the discussion we have with an attorney
I'm
as
just
to
saying.
how to go from that.
It's the same.
it
We
would be
have a
the-
document in the Conservation Office that says, here is a document that will be signed from Kwame acknowledging that he heard this meeting. We've done that before.
Yeah.
Okay, but the question is, yes, I understand. But
think
until
we'll
we
be
hear from the town attorney,
Fair enough.
legal issue, I'm only hearing what I'm hearing, and
We're continued, I know. I'm
Yes.
asking the question.
okay, so we are continued. All right. The safe harbor, was it continued until 9/17 at the last meeting?
Let's continue with 917 again, apparently.
Well, I won't continue it again if we've already continued it.
already continued.
No, the last meeting, it wasn't. It was originally supposed to be on this meeting, but they requested a continuance to
Okay, so
September 17th.
this is a new
This is
continuance.
a new continuance.
Okay. Do me a favor, when you do this again, when you indicate that it's a new continuance as opposed to it's been formally continued until 9/17, because I got confused.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a new, so we have I need a motion to continue until 9/17.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're continued in 9/17. The next one is 29 Camp Street. Cabral, that was continued until 10/1, or is this a new continuance?
No, that was continued to October 1st.
So that's an old one.
It's an old one.
Okay. The next one is Town of Wareham, mine at the bike path, continued in 10/15. That's an old one, isn't it?
That one,
Burgess Point.
Burgess Point was the next one. That one's an old one.
Why am I skipping it? So Burgess Point was already continued until 9/17? The bike path, was that already continued until 10/15? Or is this new?
This one, I believe, is new.
Did you send an email saying?
I did send an
Yeah,
email.
I thought an email went out saying that we were going to discuss this tonight.
Yeah, I did send an email when they requested a continuance.
I see that.
So we're continued until 10:15?
Yes.
We will be once we vote on it.
Yeah.
Move to continue to 10:15.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We're continued in 10:15. We now have a certification of compliance.
Yes, for SC 762893, recommend issuance of certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. We're continued. Well, sorry, we approved that 63 Onset Ave, SC 0762893. Next, please.
For SC 762910, recommend issuance of a certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. All right, next one. Jeffrey Johnson, 16 Widow Cove Lane. alteration of the 30-foot no-activity zone. Anybody here for that?
I am. Jeffrey Johnson.
Okay,
We are also here, Madam Chairman, we are David Broderick, Susan Broderick.
okay, we're going to have to find some way to get you a microphone.
I would sit here, but there's no...
There's one here.
I can sit here. Just so the board knows.
Wait, once we settle with positioning,
You're going to pull up a chair and just pretend there's a table in front of you?
We're problem solvers.
Good choice.
all right, I'm going to ask one at a time who you are and your relationship to this review of the enforcement order, starting with you, sir.
Attorney Michael Rosen. I represent Mr. Johnson, who is with me.
Jeffrey Johnson, the owner and the person who's, the enforcement order was made out to.
Okay,
David Broderick, next door neighbor.
Susan Broderick, next door neighbor.
Mark Lanza, that's spelled L-A-N-Z-A, attorney for David Broderick and Susan Broderick. Their interest in this matter is they have a 20-foot easement across the property at 16, Widows
okay,
Cove Lane.
so we're,
Easement holders. You have the owners and you have the easement holders. And some
why
of the...
isn't this Hamilton Beach?
No.
No,
Oh, this is,
Widows Cove Lane.
no, Hamilton Beach is Reynolds.
oh, I don't think I went to this site. Did I? Probably not. Okay, then I have no history on it. Oh. Which one would like to start?
I do believe that, and I may be incorrect, but during the site plan review process of my building, I believe maybe you've visited the site.
It's
So-
hard to believe I haven't been down to 16 Windows Cove Lane.
Yeah, it's off of Burgess Point, all the way to the end, there's a cul-de-sac at the end. I'm in the process of remodeling a single family, and I previously had an NOI for shrub removal, in which I came in front of this committee and
That was, okay, you're down by Browning. John Brown, never mind, you wouldn't. Okay, so that was some time ago. Now,
it's been a couple of years, yes.
yes, so, but I did not visit this site for this specific enforcement order. So, all right, where shall we start with Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, committee. So I received an enforcement order for some shrubbery brush removal, both within the 30-foot no-activity zone and then the flood zone throughout. It was not something that was of my doing. I reported it to the conservation agent, and through that, received the enforcement order. I would like to just be able to submit a plan here to the committee that would allow me to replace what's been done and move forward.
Okay. Christine, have you been to the site?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us what you saw before I asked around?
So when you're coming down the path, there's a lot of cutting that's been done, especially on the right side. There's some done down at the left side, closer towards the water, where you can see where the branches were kind of trimmed back further, but there's more removal on the right side of the area. It's kind of starting to look into the neighbor's property, where there didn't used to be all that open space.
Okay. So I'm going to go to David and Susan before I bring in the attorneys, because I want to hear from both sides before we speak to the ends of the table. Okay.
No, I'm next door neighbor. I have an easement, and there's a platform at the end of the easement where you can view the water. and the easement was so choked off, I couldn't get down to the platform. So I trimmed off the, some of the brush, a lot of it was dead, until I could get down to the platform. So it's still it's the 3-foot by 5-foot path is the same path that's always there, just, it was impassable, so we couldn't get down it.
So both parties removed brush?
I did the ocean.
So, let me-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just
With
looking-
respect to this particular enforcement order, that is not the case. Only one party removed brush with respect to this enforcement order.
And that party is?
Yes, and if I can just clarify, it's the Brodericks, and if I can just clarify, remove is not the correct word. Existing shrubbery and trees were trimmed back, okay? Nothing was removed from the ground, nothing
Okay,
was cut from the
sorry.
ground.
Okay, landscaped. Remove, a tree you trimmed.
Trimmed, there's a big difference between pulling a tree out of the ground or cutting it down altogether
So
and trimming the
You
branches.
trimmed the bushes around your easement to get to your platform for viewing.
Correct.
Okay, Susan, what? Yeah,
One of the things that I would like to say is that the trimming was done, that easement is available to all of the neighbors on Widows Cove Lane. And so with the amount of tick-borne diseases and different issues in that area, we have a ton of deer in that area, the brush that was blocking passage was cut back so that people weren't brushing up against brush.
understand. You cleared the way for easy access on your easement.
I would represent to this board that that in fact is not the case. I walked the site today. The drainage area is 20 feet wide, and obviously drainage area has to have vegetation in order for the drainage to properly function. The walking path is on the right-hand side walking out to the platform. There's roughly a paved surface that's about 3 feet wide to a particular point, and then it's just really natural surface that you walk on. As the conservation agent indicated, there was a lot of clearing on the right-hand side. It wasn't trimming of brushes. If you walk down that path yourself, you will see that it is not a clear demarcation of cutting to clear the path. Every 10 feet or so, there's a cut through into the neighbor's yard to create a visual opening to the neighbor's yard. In addition, on the left-hand side of the path, there are several large trees that are 40, 50, 60 years old that are not impeding the path, and somebody went to those trees and cut all of the limbs off of those trees standing on a ladder up to about 8 or 10 feet high, clearly not clearing the path to work on an access way. Second, nobody else has access rights other than the Brodericks. No one else in the neighborhood has access rights.
Well,
And-
that's beyond
But
conservation.
if they're going to make a representation on the record that it's because of tick-borne illnesses for others who have rights, those others aren't here tonight. They're not representing that they need
Whether
access.
it's 1 or 10, we can talk about the safety of it,
absolutely.
but
Correct.
whether or not there's 1 or 10 have access is not part of what we can do here in conservation.
Correct. Just wanted to correct a misstatement.
Well, that's-
I'd like to respond because,
I'm not going to go back and forth between the two of you.
okay, well, let me say this, okay? I've represented several people in real estate conveyances, including the Brodericks in that development, so I've done extensive title research. Many of the lots have an access easement, 10 feet wide, it says it right in the deed, and I'll share it with Attorney Rosen, 10 feet wide on the right-hand side if you're facing the water of the 20-foot easement. So it's not just the Brodericks that have access
Well,
rights.
who has access to easement? I don't think that's part of, I know that's not part of what we do. We're here to say what has happened to the vegetation along this walkway, this easement, or the clearing of vegetation on another. That's all we're here to talk about.
So, Your Honor, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if I might, you have an impartial person who can tell you what
Yes.
was or wasn't cleared. You have an impartial person that can tell you that she walked the site. You have an impartial person that can tell you whether or not what we've indicated to you is or is not the truth. And we obviously would invite every single member of this board to come down and walk down the path, and they can see for themselves what was or was not cleared.
You had your hand up. No.
I also have very clear pictures of what was and what is.
Okay.
And we were also in front of this commission. I was on a Zoom with this commission in 2023 when Mr. Johnson started cutting the vegetation on the bank, including the hole by the platform at the easement.
Well, that's...
And I have very clear pictures of that. He was doing it with a bulldozer.
Well,
I can show you pictures from today. I can show you pictures from today.
I'm not going to continue, because that happened some time ago. We're here for what's happening right now.
What's the question before us?
Yes, I think the question is, we've got some vegetation clearing.
We have two questions for this board. We have a plan. We would like to go in and repair the damage. We will deal with the neighbors and Attorney Alonso outside of this forum. You're correct. The jurisdiction here is conservation. We have a plan that we'd like to present to restore, number one. And number two, based on their own admissions now on the record, we would like the record to reflect that my clients respected the order that you issued in 2021, and my clients did not go back out and cut any further vegetation.
Enough.
So those are the two...
That's incorrect.
Thank you.
That's
Wait.
Totally incorrect.
You asked me what our two requests were. I'm telling you what our two requests are.
Christine, why are we here?
Because there's been alteration of the vegetation in that 30-foot no-activity zone, which is also in the buffer to a resource area.
And the land, that 30-foot no-activity zone is which property?
On 16 Widows Cove.
And that is you, Mr. Johnson, right?
That is correct.
So we have vegetation that's been cleared on 16 Widow Cove Lane, and you have a plan for restoration?
I do.
Okay, which I don't need to see it now, because you'll be coming to us with a formal notice of intent for restoration, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Christine, anything else?
No.
So,
Okay, well, from our perspective, the easement needs to be wide enough, so it's passable. In other words, the walkable area needs to be wide enough.
Christine, is this part of an easement?
So it is part of an easement, which I've already explained, because we've had easement disputes before. But I did explain that with the easement, you can have a I couldn't remember the exact number, 3 to 5 foot path that you can maintain on your property of the easement.
And
But
that's-
we've still had,
Widows Cove Lane.
Is that near a beach?
Is that on the way to Little Harbor?
No.
No. After Little Harbor to the
After Little
left.
I
Harbor.
was going to say, that
Wait.
must be afterwards.
After Little Harbor.
Okay,
So when you
Lydia's
first see the
Island
golf
Road,
course on your
Wait.
right,
Past the golf
Take a
course,
left.
and then
Sorry,
take a
wait a
left.
minute, I'm trying to visually put this in my head. After
It's
Little
the
Harbor.
road, if you're coming out Great Neck, you go past Lydia's Island Road on the left.
Yes.
The place where they did a lot of wetland
Yep,
planting
mhm,
out front. And then the next road on your left is Burgess Point Road. You go down there.
I go down Burgess Point Road.
Way down, all the way down the end.
to the end.
Yep, and it's on the left.
yes, stay all the way to the right,
So I go
to the end.
all Widows Cove Lane.
So I'm,
Oh, wait, I got it.
There's a cul-de-sac at the end.
Yes, the cul-de-sac, then there's a right-of-way. I got it now. Which one has the dog? I'm sorry, but yes, he was very, okay. So I go down to that cul-de-sac at the end of that, and I walk down a right-of-way, and that's what we're talking about, because at the end of the right-of-way, there's a platform.
Yes.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. It took me a while to visually sign it. And what's happening is that we have clearing along that right-of-way, that easement,
yes.
on the right side, on the left side?
Both sides.
Okay.
Okay. Now, again, if I can be heard, clearing is probably not the right word, because vegetation was not ripped up and
I'm
removed.
not, clearing could very well be cutting.
Okay,
You
cut.
made a
Okay,
path.
okay.
You widened the path. You
Widened the path,
removed some
exactly. An
brush.
existing
You
path.
cut something.
Now,
Okay.
we have learned, and we have obtained by going to the Conservation Commission's records online, and found a plan, a site plan of 16 Widows Cove Lane that shows the 30-foot no activity zone, shows the 100-foot buffer zone, shows the flood zone. So now we know where those areas are. So we are now informed that if we need to do any more trimming in the future, we've got to file a notice of intent, request for wetlands permit, and request a waiver under the wetlands bylaws for that 3 to 5 foot area. 5 feet if it's natural ground, 3 feet if it's a wooden walkway. We need to do that, because this is going to go away.
There is no agreement, and I'm going to respectfully disagree with that point. They own 14 Widows Cove Lane. They've been in front of this Conservation Commission a dozen times. They know where the 30-foot zone is.
Beyond, sorry, what we're here to say, what you need now is to come back with a full notice of intent for what you're going to do to take care of that site, and that's the only thing we're here for, is for 16 Widow Cove Lane and a notice of intent, and at that time, we can have the discussion.
That's
And what I'm-
perfect.
Until
what I
it's
want the-
formally,
The board to know is there'll be two, we're going to be filing one too.
okay, then fine.
For future trimming, because it'll just grow back.
Can I ask one other question? Can you please confirm that the enforcement order is also in effect as against our neighbors, and that they cannot go back in there and cut more?
No, the enforcement order is for 16 Widows Cove Lane, correct? And that's it.
So it applies to the entire property?
What we're saying is, please no more cutting until you,
Okay, let me just say for the record.
Susan, you keep, what?
Say for-
Because I also want to say, he says we own 14 Widows Cove Lane. We also own 13 Widows Cove Lane, which has a deeded 20-foot access on. and
We're not here
20
to
feet
talk
of
about
deeded-
access, but okay.
But on the easement, 20-foot deeded access to the easement and 20-foot deeded access to the beach below the platform.
Well, that would be part of your deed, not in front of, not for us.
But as far as cutting goes, let me say this on the record. The Brodericks realize that any trimming of vegetation within a buffer zone needs the approval of this board. If it's in the 30 feet, it needs the waiver that you have written into your bylaws. So no further trimming is going to happen until a notice of intent is filed, wetlands permit application is filed, and that waiver is requested. But that's coming.
Didn't we have a hearing on that on that easement some time ago when they talked about building something on that empty lot at the end of the cul-de-sac?
That's 13
So
Widows Cove Lane,
we've-
and
you-
we built on that.
Okay, and at that time, we talked about the, okay, no one here was here at the time we did that, so I can't continue to say what I can remember, because I walked that path down to the platform. All right. So Christine, if I'm understanding, we need a notice of intent for 16 Widows Cove Lane
Yes,
and a notice of intent for the trimming along that easement.
yes.
Future. And there'll be
And
no more
for-
trimming until an appropriate order is issued.
Okay?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be separate?
Well,
could.
as you can see, they don't get along.
But the
Should-
easement is
should be.
part of the locus, right?
Yes, it is.
Like, so the easement is not a separate thing. There's not a separate ownership interest. There's an.
Oh, yes, there's a-
right of
As
use.
a-
There's
Who owns
definitely-
the, who owns the land?
As a matter of law, I'm going to agree with Attorney Lanza. The owner of the underlying land has an interest in the property.
And who owns the
whole-
land?
Mr. Johnson.
Okay,
The
he owns the land, and there is an easement across his land.
And the owners of the
Okay.
easement have a legal right, subject to conservation rules and regulations, to exercise those rights with respect to that land.
To use and access.
To use, it is a 20-foot wide drainage
No, I looked at the
easement
plan.
that also includes an access right. There's a dispute about whether the access is 20 feet wide, but again, it's subject to jurisdiction of conservation. So even if the easement on its face says that it's 20 feet wide, if your Conservation Commission only allows 5-foot wide access ways, it's subject to Conservation Commission rules and regulations. They have the right to come and file a notice of intent. We have the right to file a notice of intent, and we will. We have plans that we were going to review with you tonight, but we'll wait until we file a notice of intent.
Does that, anything else, Jessica? Scott?
Is there any problem with me taking all the stuff that was trimmed away to the dump, which is what I was going to do?
It's just laying on the ground.
We have no objection. So as
Wait a minute.
long as the
Can you-
conservation
Let me allow
agent,
my board to ask their
Yep.
question, then we can talk about the debris. Scott?
Is there
Yeah.
any possibility, attorneys notwithstanding, needing to make a living, is there any possibility that the neighbors can talk to each other and agree on trimming when it needs to be trimmed? Is that, can you exchange phone numbers and just agree on that? You don't have to be cordial, you don't have to have coffee. Can you just get together and agree on when it should be trimmed and where it should be trimmed?
We have been told by Mr. Johnson that we are not allowed to speak to him or his family.
So there's no possibility.
Now, in this case, this might sound a little bit unusual, but it's the attorneys. Mr. Rose and I get along fine.
Well, I should hope so.
We have worked
Okay. Paula
across from each
Jean?
other for years.
Paula Jean, any questions?
No, I come from a family of lawyers. I get it.
Michael?
I'll just wait till the notice of intents come out and review them at this point.
And then you have debris that has been trimmed, and anybody have a problem with that being disposed of properly?
No, great.
So I would just like it documented before it's removed. So if the conservation agent has seen it and taken pictures, or if anybody, because the reason that we want it documented, and I'll explain, is that it evidences what was in fact cut. So that if this board has any questions about what was cut and what needs to be replicated or replaced, somebody should see the piles on the ground, because they're pretty substantial. And before those piles are taken away, somebody should see them.
Okay. Not that we can take a look at the trees, the branches that have been cut, but that's all right.
Yes, you can.
And might I clarify one thing? The attorney said that I got on a ladder and cut 10
Well,
feet
no,
high.
no.
That's crazy.
They never said who. They said that some of the trees were cleared up to 8 feet. There was no who did on the ladder, and I don't know about you, but I don't think you would go up a ladder. But that's, but that's part of us going down and looking at the site. Do you want to, can they remove the, do you want to go down and take a picture of the pile of brush, or?
Yeah, I can go back out and just get some photos of the brush that's there, and it can be disposed of properly.
Shall we give you a week?
Yeah, I could probably go out tomorrow. Just,
If you go out tomorrow, then you can start clearing it on Monday,
All right, great.
all right?
yeah.
Anything else? Then I look forward to 2 notices of intent.
And hopefully we will get to work on ours very quickly, and hopefully they'll can be scheduled for the
And
same.
I will make a trip trip back to that way, because I'm saying I know I've been here, and I remember the empty lot, which has been built on, right?
Correct.
And I remember walking down that easement and the dog, and, okay,
Not now, but there will be.
now I remember.
These-
It took a while.
These should never come before us, these kinds of hearings. These are personal, they're neighbors, they're abutters. They have nothing to do with protection of the wetlands. They should never come before us. These should be settled through mediation, arbitration, or whatever, but they should not come to
Well-
this committee.
It didn't happen.
I would respectfully agree. Unfortunately, we didn't know that the cutting was going to be taking place, and then we got hit with an enforcement order, so we have to appear. But in all other respects, Mr. Sobey, I agree with you.
Yeah, so it is always the landowner's responsibility. So if the town cuts a tree without our permission, we hold the town responsible. Or if someone cuts a tree down on town property, it's the town that's responsible. So, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. You can't always control what someone does on your property.
Agreed.
But, yeah.
All right,
Bottom line.
thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Do we have, can we could talk to the River Walk CR? Is Alex on?
She might, oh, she is.
Yes. So, we were asked to review the CR for the River Rock property. Scott had some comments, Paula Jean had some comments, so I'm here to make sure any of you might want to talk about what you might like to see changed in the CR. So, Alex, did you make it? Yay! Sorry, it's 8 o'clock, a little later than I thought.
It's actually 7:15.
Oh, it's been 8 o'clock
Actually,
on
quarter
that.
of.
It's actually quarter of?
The
Last
clock's
2
wrong,
hours.
it's stuck on 8.
Oh, yeah, it's only 7:47. Oh, the baseball game should be over with by now. Sorry, I'm a Little League fanatic. All right, South Dakota and South Carolina, I think we're playing at 7. All right, now, does anybody have talked to us about any comments you have on the CR in general? I know, Scott, you had some issue, you wanted the ability to have horseback riding on the permit to be removed?
Yeah, I had 2 points. One was to not permit horseback riding on the property, notwithstanding Paula Jean's affinity for horses. I just think it's, if it's used a lot, it's uncontrolled waste products.
There's no
and-
cleanup.
There's no cleanup.
I can imagine walking my trail and finding evidence that a horse had been down there.
Don't step in it.
Not to mention the nitrogen.
Well, I'm looking around me, not down on my feet. So, okay,
And the second point I had was, there is a clause that allows for archaeological investigation. I'd like to see an additional clause allowing for environmental science investigation. I'm not sure how to put it exactly.
Yeah, so we did both of those. We removed the ability for horseback riding. We just put that in prohibited uses, and then we included language for environmental study under allowed activities.
great. Okay. Now, Michael, any comments on it?
Yeah, I'm still having a unfortunately, I couldn't make the walk a couple weeks ago. I was out of town. But when I was looking over it, I know like the town of Mattapoisett, for example, and there's also one over in Sandwich. They got these really nice long like walkways or bike paths or whatever above the grounds for the public. Are we looking at a walkway like that, or is it going to be one that's kind of like traditional here in town, where it's like, say, in the woods, where you're like really surrounded by the trees, for example?
That walkway
Yeah,
exists
any
now,
new
doesn't it?
trails would not really be structures. This document doesn't really allow for structures to be put in, so any sort of raised walkways would not be permitted the way this is now. Actually, hang on, I take that back. Sorry, I'm reading through this right now. So on number 8, trails, it says maintaining and constructing trails as follows. New trails with prior written approval of the grantee, constructing new trails or relocating them, provided that any construction or relocation results in trails that conform. Then it says trail features with prior written approval of the grantee, constructing bog bridges, boardwalks, overlooks, footbridges, railings, steps, culverts, benches, cribbing, contouring, and other such features, together with the use of motorized equipment to construct such features. So actually, I was mistaken previously, but we did include in here the ability to add that if the will was there of the community, funding, if the Concom wanted to approve that, because it would certainly be your right as the grantee, but also within your jurisdiction for wetlands. So it would be kind of from both angles.
Because other than being approved as the CR holder, we still have to look at what we have for a 200-foot setback from a river, 30-foot no work zone, so there will be nothing but it would be done in the marsh, because that would not have been allowed under our wetlands bylaw.
Right.
But I can imagine there's one spot on the land that is a little wet, but the trail exists now, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep, there is a trail now.
How many trails exist on this property?
There's about a mile of trails.
They already exist, so you're not looking at adding any new trails?
Loops. No, not right now. I think if anything, I would be closing off some sections that just like bisect the property that aren't necessary. But that would be done in the management plan that would be agreed upon by both of us.
Okay, Paula Jean, you had some comments?
I did. I would like to see something stating that pesticides and herbicides are not used on the property.
Yeah, so we added in under the prohibited acts and uses that the use of herbicides is prohibited unless with granted permission from the grantee and applied by a licensed professional. This would be to mostly for invasive species. So some invasive species, it's more harmful to remove mechanically than it is to remove with herbicide. So if there were, say, the water rises and you've got Phragmites taking over the whole thing, frag is best treated with direct application of herbicide. So this just leaves the flexibility. We won't be able to use it without approval and permission from you.
What section did you add that under?
Yep, it's number 5 under prohibited acts and uses.
Okay, well, I'm disappointed to hear that because it's becoming more and more commonly known, all the harm caused by some of the glyphosate and the Roundup, and I don't see how it could be more harmful doing it mechanically. It's certainly more labor intensive, I know that, but if we're worried about some horse manure on the trail, which is basically ground up grass, and I can attest to that, having 25 horses for 40 years. If that's a concern, then I would think something that can cause such harm to human health and to, the studies haven't been done how it harms and affects the water and wildlife. I just thought it would be, in this day and age, that we would start to be a little more progressive about that. And certainly the land trust, too, I hold in such high esteem.
Yeah, that's why we added it in there as a prohibited use.
But
to do what you asked.
But when it's when it's used by licensed professionals, I mean, it's used all the time by somebody with a landscape sign slapped on the side of the truck. I mean, you can buy it in Home Depot, you know.
Yeah, sure, I agree with you. I don't think it should be used by homeowners. I think that's probably the biggest offender, especially in wetlands. Here, in this particular application, where it can be more useful than mechanical uses is when you're talking about erosion. So if you don't want to uproot the root structure of the invasive species that you want to get rid of, herbicide is the only way to do that. So you kind of, it's a tool in the toolbox. We don't want to use it frequently. We would only use it in an agreed way upon together. It is restricted, and we would only be doing it for invasive species.
Okay.
I hear you two agreeing, actually,
Well,
with a
you know,
minor
I'm just
point.
disappointed that you would use it at all. I know how, you know, Phragmites, if you cut it back enough times, would, you know, could make you crazy. Doing that, you could get rid of it. And
You actually can't. I've worked on it for like 15 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go away if you cut it. You can't exhaust it enough because the way the rhizome structure is and the way how efficient it is at storing sugars in its root system.
Yeah.
I've tried drowning it. I've tried everything. Herbicide is really the only way that you can effectively manage some species. So especially if you're trying to maintain the root structure again, that would keep erosion from happening. That's especially why it would happen in a wetland area.
Now, you would only be doing, sorry, what section are you adding this under? Adverse impact of vegetation?
Yep.
Adverse impacts of water, soil, and other features?
Yep.
Which one, number 5?
Yes.
Okay. Now, yes, I know that Phragmites, whatever there's been a cleanup on the Cape, it's always been using it because there's been no easy way. I know that for bittersweet, 7 years of cutting a road cutting bittersweet for 7 years gets rid of it, cutting it.
Some of the other species too, like gray willow, if you cut it, it's gonna shoot out way more stalks. So it's worse to cut it than it is to treat it.
Would you be doing
on what the goal is, but
doing this type of,
hopefully we won't deal with that.
Sorry. Would you be doing this vegetation maintenance all through the site or just along the paths?
It could be anywhere. So as a landowner, as a, you know, maintaining the conservation values of a property, that would be a part of the management plan and a part of the goals to maintain the vegetation. Okay. So those items will be worked on together later on. This document is just kind of laying out prohibited and allowed uses.
Okay. Jessica, any comments on the CR?
No comment.
Okay. My notes is new trails and old trails, and you've indicated that you will be closing off some of the existing trails and focusing on one major walkway trail, right?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. And I do want to, under motor vehicles exclusion, please specifically mention the motorized bicycle. Because I know you mentioned and other motorized vehicles and stuff like that, but I'd like to see bicycles listed as a specific entity, because you've done mopeds and
Yeah, I think there's, I've seen another boilerplate language from the state on that does include bicycles, so we'll just swap it out and use the one that they have.
Because I think I added it to the last one we did, CR that came before us.
Sawyer.
Yes, I think I added it for Sawyer.
We can use, we'll do something similar.
Will you do any restriction on drones over the property?
Not through this. Nope.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be done in this document. We can choose how to manage the property together through the management plan later on.
And under permitted, you talked about mowing. Is it just generically put in there in case you have to do it? Because there's nothing to be mowed at that site, correct? There's no fields, but it's just a generic vegetation management thing.
Yeah.
Under stockpiling and composing, why would you be stockpiling material on the property?
So it would just be, say there was a massive storm event and a lot of trees came down, it would just be where would we put the vegetation? It allows the landowner to have a place to put the vegetation that they need to clean up from storm events, say, without having it near a wetland. It just reserves that right to store some of the woody material, because we don't necessarily want to remove it. It is a source of carbon. It would be nice to keep storing it in the ground and have it slowly break down rather than just be taken away and chipped.
Okay. Under trail maintenance, looking for 8 feet wide. How wide is your trail now?
A lot of them are not that wide. So it would just be if there was the need to get a vehicle in for maintenance. The 8 feet was specifically so that it could be wide enough for a vehicle if needed for maintenance purposes, but there's no intention to have huge swaths of trails going through.
But you would need this board's conservation approval in order to bring maintenance, so we can discuss it at that time.
Yeah.
Dog walking. It doesn't, you're right. If it is not mentioned in the CR, then it's an allowed activity. What is the positioning of the Wareham Land Trust on dogs on their property?
We don't restrict them on any of our properties right now. This wouldn't be the document or the place to do that if it was necessary. I have seen it in other places where people have had to restrict dog use, but we don't.
Well, you're listing all the other passive recreational use. I think dog walking on a leash should be listed here as a particular. I want whatever, if dogs will be allowed, they have to be under leash, not voice control, a leash.
So let's put that in the kiosk and as a part of the management plan, Sandy. That's a great idea.
No, I want it on the CR.
So every change we make to this document slows down the review from the state end. So even grammar and just fixing things completely throws it off. They have a boilerplate way of doing it. I've never seen dogs referenced in a CR.
Town bylaws also require dogs to be on a leash in the public.
Sure.
Now,
I don't know about the Cape Cod Canal, but you have to have, I know dogs, they ask them to clean up after I mean,
Well, yeah,
you
well-
have to clean up the dog, I don't know if you could
So I
do that
think
here
what
too.
she's saying is that we can manage that at the kiosk
Yeah.
and provide those instructions and rules there,
Okay,
but
because
not
I was gonna say,
necessarily
maybe you could
broader document.
provide some sort of some sort of bags or something at the kiosk.
No.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's, okay, but
It depends,
will
yeah.
you have benches or rest areas within this land?
I would like
Picnic
to.
benches or something?
I would like to. I mean, that's something I think we could talk about together in the management plan.
Okay, that was me. Christine, anything you had?
I didn't have anything.
Okay, anybody else has anything to say about the CR?
Do we need a motion to accept?
No,
Okay,
we will wait to see the final one,
all right.
and we'll approve that one, so will the select board, et cetera. But this was just our input into the draft, and we won't do anything until it's finalized. Anybody
I
else?
did have one other thing I sent you in the email along with the herbicides, and that was just, and I think it's already covered.
She wants some edible plantings.
I have had always, my fantasy is the garden club's gonna go, wait a minute, we want Wareham to be a food forest, and redirect from, you know, that would be wonderful, and in which case, places like this would be great. I know there is some allowance in there for planting other shrubs, and I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
and again, I know you don't want to make a lot of changes, but that does cover if you wanted to go crazy with edible plants and shrubs, you could already, that's already permitted, is that correct?
Not like mango trees, but you could do like native trees.
What, I'm sorry. I beg your-
Mango.
Oh, no, with things that would thrive, you know.
Yeah,
Let's
if
make that
it's
pawpaw
native
trees
to this
grow.
region, yes, it's absolutely allowed.
Okay, because, you know, the way we're headed, food is expensive, and we have people in our town
Yeah.
who are having difficulty affording it or cannot. And how wonderful to have things growing that people can just harvest and eat.
Or
Yeah.
animals.
And animals
More than
share
likely,
with the animals as
The animals
well.
will get it first.
But, you know, I just think we should max out planting edible
Okay.
things.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Alex. Have a good evening.
You too.
So much.
Okay, I think the only thing we have left on the hearing agenda is the minutes of June 18th, 2025. I reviewed them and I gave Christine my comments, including removing the comment, "All parties are sworn in before testimony." That will be removed because we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you guys actually did discuss this a little bit at the last meeting, but I think you were the only one that read it, and everybody else had needed time to
Yeah,
go
so-
through them.
She sent them out again. Does anybody have any issues or questions on the June 18th minutes?
Move to accept the minutes of June 18.
Thank you. A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained, thank you very much, 18th is done. We do have some missing minutes. There was an issue over a contract for doing the minutes. It's my understanding it's being worked on, and they have a list of the minutes we're missing.
Yes.
Okay,
Did we miss one thing? Did we miss that continued enforcement?
Grant and Mead, 1 Reynolds Avenue.
Oh, 1 Reynolds Ave, what I'm currently doing is drafting up enforcements, another enforcement for 1 Reynolds Ave and also for Hamilton Beach. That was the Hamilton Beach one that you were thinking of. Yes.
okay. So that's being worked on.
Okay.
If nothing else,
That's it?
Motion to close, motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second?
8:06, I have a motion and a second to adjourn at 8:06. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain. We're closed the hearing. Please take us offline.